everyone, this is update for January 25, 2024, day 701 of the war and of the date update. Also catch up for January 23 and 24. I'm gonna start with very quick update, and then I'm just gonna go into the review of the situation on the battlefield. So just want to mention very quick is about the funding for Ukraine, financial funding, financial support. As I mentioned before, I don't think it's coming from the US. As you probably can see, there is significant problems in the US itself, where it looks like the country might be on the verge of the civil war due to the conflict on the southern border there. So it's very clear that funding is probably not forthcoming. It's going to be a miracle if it comes. So what that leaves Ukraine with is Ukraine can still hope to get probably like 12.5 billions from Europe, and then obviously there is some cushion, which, as I said before, this probably makes it possible for Ukraine to get through the year. The problem is still the long term. The problem is still remains there. Because it does look to me that in the U.S. The new president will be Trump, who is unlikely to continue fighting for Ukraine. So again, this all goes back to what's going to happen in 2025, and so all this kind of leads to some kind of resolution, and also if you include into account the situation with the manpower in Ukraine, it's all pointing in the negative direction, and giving the current leadership, which doesn't do anything to change this sort of course in the long run. Because in order for things to change, the actions needs to be taken immediately and right now. And there's no vision, there's no understanding even what to do. So that doesn't bode well, as you can imagine, for Ukraine in the long run. From Russian perspective, Russia is experiencing a lot of problems. At the same time, they are not lethal. They are painful. But Russia can survive and can get by. So again, going back to all of this, the long-term prospects for Ukraine are definitely not positive within the current paradigm, within the current approach to the war. In terms of military supplies and support, Ukraine, as I said, has enough resources, financial resources, to actually buy those off the market. U.S. is not providing any more military equipment and supplies. They're still available on the market. There's as long as you have money, you can buy equipment. It's obviously better to produce yourself. There's no question about it. But even in this condition, where Ukrainian political top is not willing to allow internal production of military supplies and equipment, you can still buy it on the sort of open market. Now I'm going to switch to walk through the battlefield. I'm going to do it in a clockwise fashion, as I always do, starting from very north. So the situation along the state border remains more or less the same. Nothing special is happening there. Now let's jump to the North Lugansk front line. Things here are somewhat sort of softer. There's less pressure from the Russian side, and in overall, I would say there's less pressure from the Russian side. I'm not clear what's sort of the driver for it, but is it just a temporary change or something else is being planned? Unclear. But there's definitely less pressure. I'm not saying there's no pressure, but it's not at the peak as it used to be. Now let's move to the North Donbas front line. Things are fairly quiet in the northern sector, as they always are. Now let's move to the southern one. So there are some, some attacks west of Bakhmut, sort of typical points of pressure, but so far without any success by Russian troops. Now let's look at central Donbass front line. Russian troops noticeably reduced pressure around Avdiivka. Again, unclear what sort of what's the driver behind all of this, but there's certainly less pressure here. At the same time, there are attacks in multiple locations, but with, call it, fewer sources and fewer number of attacks. At the same time, there's quite significant pressure around this Novomykhailivka salient, and I would say Marinka salient. So again, looks like for whatever reason, Russian command decided to shift sort of pressure into this area. Now let's look at Zaporizhya front line. There is sort of a little bit of new developments here in terms of resumed Russia pressure around this Velika Novosilka area on both sides of it. Again, unclear if this is also tied to that pressure around Novomykhailivka, but it seems like there's, for whatever reason, Russian command is putting pressure in this area. Totally unclear why. And then there's pretty weak pressure against this Robodino salient. Now let's look at what's going on along the Dnipro River. Things here remain the same, no essential changes. Some Russian pretty weak attempts to destroy the bridgehead. Bridgehead remains, and essentially the status quo remains there. That's all for today. Thanks for watching. Until next time. Bye-bye.